Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to my live. It's been a little while since I've done this, but it's something that I love doing. I love sharing knowledge, and I'm really pleased that you can join me. If you are joining me on the live session, feel free to join in asking questions and, of course, say hello. I really wanted to talk today about change management. It's kind of a fundamental part of ESG transformation. And so it's a really important topic that we need to discuss because many businesses, they invest a lot of money, they do the whole ESG thing, they do the entire transformative roadmap, or the thing that they do on paper, the analysis, the assessment, the solutions, the recommendations, and the processes that they need to change, and so on and so forth. And they might even get to the point of implementation. But then when it comes to taking this on, the people to take this on, adopt this process of implementing an ESG roadmap, but also adopt the thinking behind it, the principles and so on. That's the part that often businesses can fall short on. And so therefore the change management piece plays a really important role, because change management ties into how we shift the culture, how we shift the thinking in terms of adopting this new piece of work. So I wanted to talk about what types of change management we can think about in terms of how we might consider this within our business, and especially while transforming through an ESG framework or roadmap. So what is change management? As I said, it is really a way to try and shift that cultural level at which people really buy into the idea or the vision that the business has prepared. And the way that it can happen can either be adaptive or incremental in terms of the change, or it can be transformational change. So incremental or adaptive change management, about becoming more efficient over time, and there's sort of a longer period of reaching that equilibrium where that incremental change takes place. And so it's quite distinct from a transformative process where, it doesn't. So that leads to transformational change management, which is really about disrupting the movement or the momentum in a business, and really changing it in a quicker way, and changing it overall across the entire business. So it's quite dramatic compared to the incremental one. And I think that really comes down to what is the change. So of course, things like mergers, acquisitions, they're quite dramatic, they're quite transformational. But if handled well and if managed well, then of course it can be adopted by the people quite nicely and effectively as well. So that's really the difference between adaptive and transformational change management. And sort of the other topics that I wanted to really cover today is, how the business can then, once they've understood what type of change they want to implement or embed into their business, then it's about, what's that vision? How do they prepare really for that vision? It's not just about ESG, but what is that vision within the ESG framework that they're trying to adopt? And the third part is then, what are the cultural shifts that they want to see within the business? And finally, how do you learn and continue to expand through this process? So I guess, the preparation side of things really is, of course, about adopting an ESG roadmap. But in order to adopt that ESG roadmap, you've got to do the groundwork. You've got to research the frameworks that are out there, consider the material impacts of your business and your operations, consider the industrial impacts, or when I say industrial, I meant more like sector-wise impacts or industry impacts based on your business operations. I can see a few of you joined on LinkedIn, so say hello. Feel free to ask any questions, as I said. But yeah, what I was saying is the preparation part, in terms of developing your vision for your ESG roadmap, really comes down to understanding the key material topics and that ESG alignment, so that framework alignment that your business is wishing to adopt, whether that be GRI or ISSB, TCFD, whatever it is that is really aligned with your business and your operations. That will help you then establish the framework of thinking And it will then also help you with setting the goals or the targets. And if, of course, you're really kind of taking that proactive step, you'll set those targets based on a scientific method, like following SBTI, for example. So that's really about, preparing that vision, that big goal. And once you've got that goal, then you can start to develop we'll do the gap analysis to help you develop the roadmap. Because once you know where you are and the things that are most important to your business, and of course, then you set the goal and the vision or the targets, then you've got a gap that you can assess and work with to develop your roadmap. And so the areas that we want to see the cultural shift happening across is, of course, across the entire business. But if we want to put it into, I guess, systems of thinking, we're talking about structural change. So structurally within the business and how you govern the business and operate the business and operate your supply chain. So structurally, where are the kind of cultural shifts that need to happen in terms of how people are buying into the idea and adopting the idea easily? So there is a process in place for them to take on this ESG system of thinking. Then your IT systems or your data capture systems, where are you collecting information from, and how easy is it for people to, I guess, measure those metrics or input those metrics into the ESG system or the data capture system that you've got, so that it's easily being tracked. And then, of course, there's that internal analysis and understanding happening with the data capture. So, of course, the data is starting to work for you then. And then you can start to use that as well to help change the way that people work. And, of course, there needs to be very people-based qualitative programs that work with your employees, work with your community, work with your supply chain, work with your clients, that help them understand what is on the agenda, what is that sustainability agenda for those conversations, for those meetings, for that interaction, for the supplier to come on board to your business. What do they need to be doing for you, that aligns with your business and your ESG goals, that will show that this is the change that needs to be taken on by them. And so how do you then really get that happening for them at a fundamental level, get them thinking about this at a fundamental level, that it's not just you driving this by like imposing this essentially onto their thinking, but how do you get them adopting this and buying into the idea? And then, there's also sort of the other things in terms of how your business uses its finances and culturally makes better decisions within the business. So, of course, that comes down to governance, but it also comes down to the way that your money is flowing within the business and outwards from the business. So divesting and moving away from the really negative industries or negative sectors that have impacts on critical ESG agendas. So I think there's lots of places where the change needs to happen. And often, the clients that are really ready for this, when we have a conversation about ESG, we always include a change management piece, which it's not an isolated piece of work. It happens throughout the ESG process, and it involves conversations with stakeholders. It involves gathering the data, the qualitative, quantitative data, and it also involves a lot of kind of workshopping. So not just sort of meeting with them and talking about sustainability, but workshopping the ideas. And then, of course, there's more of the hardware side of things, where you then implement the systems and track how well that they are adopting these systems of change, and what can you do to incentivize them as well, because you do want to reward people or reward them when they are adopting these systems of change, because they want to see, one, that they're being recognized, but two, also they want to see the tangible outcomes of their actions or the fact that they've adopted it. So I guess that really then leads to the final part about learning and expansion, because once they start to see that this action that had a specific or tangible change, then they can start to learn and well, they'll see the feedback from our process and start to learn and hopefully expand on the ESG roadmap, because it isn't just a one and done. You develop your ESG roadmap, you implement the change management, the people adopt it, and that's it. You're done. You're done for the rest of your business life. There is an ongoing iteration, an ongoing expansion and improvement on the process. So really, yeah, it's a really I guess expanded piece of work, but super important to do the change management work at the beginning. And I think for me, my recommendation to any business or any of the consultants that are out there working in this space is I always embed consistent conversations within the engagement or the piece of work. I think it's so important to bring the right people into the room, and that is not just the leadership. That is the right people from the different departments or within different levels within the business, so that you've got a clear, diverse range of voices that are speaking about what is material and highest impact or value even to them. So whether it's from a value-based perspective or from an impact perspective, what is most important to be thinking about in terms of the ESG roadmap. And then you can better define what are the change management practices that could help overcome those impacts or improve the value that is being seen, depending on from which perspective you're having the conversation. So that's all I wanted to share today. Thank you all for joining me on LinkedIn. I see a few of you on. You're obviously a bit shy, but that's okay. Next time you can join me. I always try to do these every Wednesday, but life happens and Christmas and all that happened. And so I've taken a little break, but hope to join you again next Wednesday on a new topic about sustainability. And so take care, share any questions or thoughts you have along the way. I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to speaking with you all very soon. Bye.